So good afternoon. My name is Amanda Jarvis, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 27 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance throughout to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one consulting services are available at no charge. Today's Bootcamp, Success Through eCommerce, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. Be sure to check out our next digital bootcamp, Grow Your Business with Digital Marketing, on April 20th. We are recording today's presentation. It will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. You'll also get a recording to the presentation and the slides afterwards. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted, but if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into that Q&A box. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session. Cameron Nelson is the Chief Digital Advisor for the Virginia SBDC and the Central Virginia SBDC. Mr. Nelson has over 18 years of experience in technology and is a senior tech consultant in Silicon Valley, helping Fortune 500 companies improve their digital marketing and e-commerce. At the same time, he founded several tech companies, including a software service website for tree preservation and a blockchain platform for nonprofits. Cameron is accomplished in language culture, has an MBA and MA, and believes new technology products have the ability to help shape our world for the better. Please join me in welcoming our presenter for today, Cameron Nelson.
Thanks for the introduction, and hello everybody. Hope you're having a great day. We're going to be talking about success through e-commerce today. This presentation will last about 30 or 35 minutes, and after that I'll be happy to take your questions and try to answer as many of them as I can. If I'm not able to answer your questions or you prefer to speak to me one-on-one, then I'm available for one-on-one meetings after this, so you can send me an email about that and we can set those up directly. So let's just jump into it. We have 3 goals for the bootcamp today. Goal number 1 is we're going to learn what websites and e-commerce platforms might work best for you and your business. Second, we're going to learn how to set up your e-commerce store and the considerations for listing your items for sale. And third, we're going to talk about how to refine your strategy and how to really maximize your profits in your store as you go forward over the next 6 to 12 months. So the first part of building a successful e-commerce business is really looking at your website. So this is your URL, it's like yourbusiness.com. This is often the cornerstone of your business online. You can sell your products directly on your website and or in combination with some of the major e-commerce platforms like Shopify or Etsy, which we'll talk more about. But first I want to talk about the website. Now, if you don't have a website, this isn't a very important part, like I said. So let's talk about the 4 different levels. And throughout this, you can determine what your needs are and what level of website you will need to support your business. First is a basic website. This is the simplest kind of website you can get. It really has no shopping or e-commerce capabilities at all. It's sufficient if you have a service-based business, maybe like a hair salon or something like that, because you're not really selling products on your website, more of informational only. But if you are planning on selling products, then a level 2 minimum level website is the kind of the starting point of how you're going to do that. This website is going to have several pages describing your products, but they're going to link to an external website like Shopify, Etsy, or Amazon to allow your customer to complete that purchase. A level 3 robust website integrates the shopping cart capabilities and payment right onto your website. So this is usually a good level to get to if you're a serious e-commerce business, you have some money to invest in your business online, because this does take more time and cost more money, but then the customers don't have to leave your website to purchase your products. You can also link to your social media pages, and you can have a nice image online. And the 4th level of website is what I call an advanced level website. This is best if you have a kind of a complicated product you're trying to sell. Maybe you need video reviews or testimonials to sell your products. Maybe you want to sell on a subscription package, like a monthly recurring subscription. Maybe you want a referral setup. All these are possible with an advanced level website. So if you already have one of these websites, you probably now have an idea of what level it's at. If you want to upgrade, here's some of the considerations. Now, if you don't have a website right now, you can get a basic website for free from some sites like Wix.com and Squarespace.com. And also Shopify, Etsy, Amazon, and the other e-commerce platforms will give you a free page to set up to be your store on their website. So this is kind of the basic free tier you can get to. Going up to a level 2 website, this is a good level for a business trying to sell its goods online. It's going to allow for much more customization than the level 1 website. Keep in mind, you'll link to a third-party site like Shopify, Etsy, or Amazon to sell your products. But the advantage of having a level 2 over a level 1 is the website, yourbusiness.com, it gives your brand a lot more legitimacy online. It gives you a much better image. So you're able to, differentiate yourself and sell your products for a higher profit margin. Typically, a level 2 website won't allow for things like user logins or subscription packages or anything that's complex about the checkout process. A level 3 website is an investment of usually between $2,000 and $9,000, and it'll allow you to target your market with a lot more customization. So you can really hone in on designing the website the way you want. The shopping cart is integrated, so the customer never has to leave your website. So it gives you an ability to position your products as a more premium level. And you can have things like unique landing pages for different marketing campaigns, do what's called A/B testing, and just get into more of the advanced analytics and ways to improve the performance of your website with a level 3. Moving on to a level 4 website, these are the most useful when your product is complex to sell. This could be because it comes in lots of variations, colors, sizes, or you need things like video reviews or client testimonials to help incentivize people to buy your product. This website is the most expensive and can range up to $45,000. And any feature that you can wish you had can be built into a website like this. So hopefully now you have an idea of these different levels of website and where your business needs to be. So next, let's look at some of the costs involved in operating these types of websites. The hosting cost is going to be $20 a year for the domain name, and that's the same no matter what level of website you have. You're going to additionally pay the hosting cost, which is for basic around $50 a year, minimum $100 a year, robust $150 a year, and advanced about $250 a year. And the reason why this goes up is because a more advanced website has more pages, more content, images, and videos, and that costs more money as you stream that content to the website visitors. The next cost is going to be email. If you just have a basic or a minimum level website, I don't recommend you spend a lot of money on a more powerful email address. You can get by with about a $1 a month email at your domain. So this could be something like info@mybusiness.com or contact@mybusiness.com. If you have a robust or an advanced level website, though I recommend you would upgrade your email to be a Gmail or Google powered email address. And the reason is because this will give you access to all the G Suite, calendar, notes, docs, all those apps that really help to enable a business as it grows. A lot of free resources, well, not free, but very inexpensive resources to really help your business grow are included with that email address. The next consideration is paid ads. So once you've built a great website, you want to get the word out there, and there's several ways to market online. And one of those is by paying for ads. And if you just have a basic level website, I don't typically recommend that you would spend money on ads. Rather, I think it's the best choice to spend money on upgrading your website first. But if you already have a minimum level website, a real beginning starting point is around $100 a month for your ads. And if you have a robust level website, you can spend around $3,000 a year to really promote that effectively on places like Facebook and Google. And in advanced level websites, these businesses can spend $10,000 a year or more on their paid ads. Again, because there is a good ROI there, return on their investment. So when they spend money on ads, they see that coming back increasingly in the form of revenue and profit. So that's just a kind of a calculation you can make for your business to see where you're comfortable with an online ad budget. The next cost is the development of the website itself. A basic level website through a site like Wix or Squarespace is something that I think anybody can do if they have 5 or 6 hours and some patience, even if they've never developed a website before. These are very simple platforms. However, if you'd rather not spend any time developing it, you can hire a freelance developer to set that up for you for between $300 and $1,000. Minimum level websites typically cost between $750 and $3,000, robust around $2,000 to $9,000, and advanced between $8,000 and $45,000. And the price difference here comes down a lot to where the developer is located. Developers in Virginia are going to be at the higher end of this, and for developers offshore, could be in Europe, China, or India, are going to be at the lower end of this. And the other consideration is what's called SSL. So this is a secure layer of encryption on your website that encrypts data entered. So if somebody's entering their credit card information, that needs to be encrypted. It's a federal law. So level 1 and 2 websites, since you're not taking credit card payments on the website, you don't need to worry about this. But a level 3 and 4 website, since you will be taking credit card payments, you need to factor in a budget of up to $100 a year for this SSL certificate. So hopefully now you have an idea of what kind of website you're at and what kind of website you should be at here to be enabling your business to the fullest online. As I mentioned, the website, yourbusiness.com, is one part of your online presence. And many successful e-commerce businesses have that, and they also list their products on one or multiple e-commerce platforms like these. These are the top 5 e-commerce platforms in the world, and there's some pros and cons to each. Some make more sense for certain businesses than others. So we're going to talk through these in some detail. And by the end of this, I hope you have an idea of which platform or platforms you think would be best to sell your products on. The first one is Shopify. Shopify charges between $9 and $79 per month, and a transaction fee, which can be down to 0% if you use their payment gateway. Shopify is a very large and easy to set up e-commerce platform. They make it really easy to jump on there and start selling your products. The downside, though, is it doesn't really allow you to customize your checkout process very much. So this is fine if you have an item that comes in one size or configuration. But if you have something more complex, Shopify doesn't really enable you to effectively sell those variations. The next one is Etsy. Etsy charges a 6.5% transaction fee and a listing fee, and also a payment processing fee. So they do have quite a few fees that stack up, that they don't have the monthly fee. And Etsy's focused on handmade items, vintage items, craft supplies, and things like that. Etsy is very easy to set up and post products on, similar to Shopify. The third one is Facebook Shops, which shouldn't be confused with Facebook Marketplace, which some of you might know about. Facebook Marketplace is like a free place like Craigslist to post things, whereas Facebook Shops is a full e-commerce part of Facebook. It's meant to compete directly with places like Shopify and Amazon. Facebook Shops charges a 5% sales fee or 40 cents of items that are shipping at $8 or less. They're geared towards small businesses and merchants. And one advantage of this platform is that Facebook is the world's second largest search engine after Google, and it has over 2.5 billion users. So this all adds up to a lot of organic traffic, or people are often coming on Facebook to look for goods and services. So if you are listing on Facebook Shops, then you have the ability to show up here. And so it's a good ecosystem. If you already use Facebook for your business, it makes a lot of sense. If, however, you don't use Facebook, or you don't like its privacy policy that it basically uses your data any way it wants and sells that, etc. If you're not comfortable with that, then I would look elsewhere and not consider Facebook Shops. The next is Amazon. Amazon is the world's largest e-commerce platform, and they charge $1 per item or $40 a month, plus a fulfillment fee that can range anywhere between $2 and typically $6. The fulfillment fee is variable because Amazon, unlike most of these others, will warehouse your items. They will ship your items. They will handle returns and refunds on your items, all that for you. And for those services, they will charge you additional fees. So you can use Amazon for all those purposes if you like. They're the largest e-commerce platform, like I said, and Amazon is unique because they have a really good way of helping businesses sell products that come in different sizes, shapes, colors, textures. They have, as we've probably seen, various drop-down menus to help people really pick exactly what they want. So if you sell things that come in multiple sizes like this, Amazon is definitely one of the best choices, I think. And last is Amazon Handmade. Amazon Handmade charges no monthly fee and a 15% fee on all sales. So, and this is quite possibly the highest fee of all of these. They feature the same all Amazon experience, the same great selection of drop downs if you're selling multiple sizes and shapes and colors. Though there is a high barrier to entry with Amazon Handmade because you need to submit an artisan application. And this process I've seen take over a month. I've worked with businesses to get on this platform. There's emails, there's phone interviews, there's a video interview last time I went through this process. So there's a lot of hoops to jump through. But if you do get approved, then you'll be in a kind of a small set of businesses selling a higher quality product on the Amazon platform. So next, we're going to look at each of these 5 in a little bit more detail by looking at their home pages and seeing what do you gravitate towards the most as far as the best fit for your products. So the first is Shopify, and they bill themselves as the platform commerce is built on. Some of the products that they're helping people to sell are things like, as we see at the bottom, plants and homemade ceramic vases, makeups, textiles, leather goods, really quite a range of things. Shopify gives you a free 14-day trial period where you don't have to even pay them any fees for what you sell. So it's a no risk situation to list your products and see how you like this process of selling on Shopify. Shopify recently has, I think, done a cool thing where they've expanded into helping businesses and people sell what's called NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. Now, I don't expect everybody to know what these are, but some of you might have heard of this technology. It's kind of like, it's built on the blockchain, which is an area that I'm quite interested in. And essentially what NFTs are, they're unique, a digital token that can't be replicated. So they're issued on a blockchain. In this case, Shopify will issue your NFT on a blockchain, like Ethereum, and they will represent one digital thing, like a piece of art or animated sticker, music, video, even a tweet, really anything that's a digital format. If you have questions about this, then we can talk more about it, but here's the link to go to learn more and to create your NFTs on Shopify. I will say Shopify is the only major e-commerce platform that I've seen that enables people to create and sell NFTs, which honestly is really cool. It's the future of a lot of digital sales. A lot of different industries think. So if you're in this field, if you're selling these types of products, definitely check this out, because this could be a real game changer as far as forward thinking and positioning your business for the future. Next up is Etsy. Etsy is the one that focuses on handcraft and handmade items. You can see here some of the products that they're promoting are things like leather wallets, birthday cards, personalized name plates out of wood, cutting boards, so leather goods, also glassware, all sorts of things. If you're selling a product that's really a handmade item of high quality, Etsy is a go-to place because people come to Etsy specifically looking for these types of products. Third is Facebook Shops. Facebook, as most people know, also owns Instagram. So when we talk about selling on Facebook, we also are talking about selling on Instagram. It's essentially the same platform for your ads, for your selling. So this platform is pretty robust. It has a lot of good technology features. One of the ones I like is, as you can see, the picture of the shirts on the rack. Facebook allows you to upload a high resolution image of your items. And then people can move around different parts of the image and zoom in on areas of interest that you identify for them. So it's kind of a fun, interactive way to help people learn about your products and to buy them. And if you're already using Facebook for your business or even for personal use and you like it, you like the interface, then this is a pretty logical place to go. However, if Facebook is something that you've not really jumped on board with yet, then they're going to require you to, guarantee that they can use your data however they want and all that stuff. So just be aware of that going into this. Next is Amazon. I think we all know Amazon. They're the world's largest e-commerce platform. And for a good reason. They've really got it dialed in how to help people find the products they want. One of the best things is their selection for different sizes and shapes and textures of things. But a lot of people find Amazon to be a very lucrative place to sell their products. However, it's not without its risks, the main one being counterfeit items. So one example is working with a small business in Central Virginia who made handmade pasta. And about a year ago, they were selling about $100,000 of revenue per month on Amazon. Amazon was their main e-commerce site. But then some other company ripped off their product, made a similar box, a similar logo, identical, pasta, and sold it for less. And it was a big problem. Amazon really wouldn't step in to shut them down, the counterfeiter. So, these types of things can happen. There's a lot of stories of this happening on Amazon just because they're so big and they don't really take an aggressive stance against counterfeiters. So it's not a big issue unless you get big, but if you do get big, it could be a risk. So just to keep that in mind. Amazon Handmade is kind of Amazon's answer to Etsy. They're helping people who want to make things like leather work, textiles. Here we see pictures of handmade soaps, handmade candles. If you're selling these types of things, then Amazon Handmade can be a great place for you to go to maximize your sales there and get in front of the right market. So now we've talked about the 5 e-commerce platforms that they're the largest. We're going to talk about how to set up your e-commerce store. These steps are going to be the same regardless of which platform or platforms you decide to list on. The first thing you'll do is find your product to sell. Then you'll customize an e-commerce template, and then you'll add your products. So when you think about finding a product to sell, you should ask, how many do you want to sell online? I've talked to small businesses who have 5 or 10 products, and I think this is a great number to start with. Others have thousands of products, and this is a no-no. It's really hard to list and maintain listings for thousands of products on an e-commerce site. It's not worth the time usually. So I would focus on your top 10 to 20 products at first, and then if you find a lot of success selling those, you might expand beyond those initial 20 products or so. When you're looking to find a product, you should ask yourself, does it solve a customer pain point? And the bigger the pain it's solving, the better it's going to sell. Does it appeal to an enthusiast or hobbyist crowd? Because if so, then Etsy or Amazon Handmade is a great platform to find those people. And does it go with your passion and build on your experience? Does it capitalize on trends early? And to find out about trends, you can read customer reviews on products and kind of see what people are talking about to get ideas of new products that you might want to launch. You should litmus test before you launch. So this just means going in with an idea and testing the waters before you spend a ton of time and or money trying to post a lot of products that end up not selling. So more the idea is test the market first, browse what's trending on online marketplaces. Like Amazon tells you the best-selling items in the home decor or all the different areas each day. And so that can be a really interesting way to see what the trends are. Research and sell products with a higher profit margin, because when you sell on a third-party site, as we've seen, there's quite a few fees. So if you don't start with a high enough profit margin, you're going to end up having so little profit that it's not going to be worth your time to maintain this business. And always be on the lookout for more opportunities and trends, because your competitors are certainly always keeping an eye on that as well. The next thing you're going to do is customize your e-commerce template. Now, any of these sites that we just talked about are going to give you a starting template or a page. They're going to give you several to choose from. You're going to be able to customize a lot of things about it, like your text size and the fonts, your color schemes, all the images, probably moving around the positioning of some products, just editing the feature description, and even embedding social media links. So you're going to have the ability to choose a template and ask, what features do you want your store to have on, let's just say, Etsy? Do you want it to be a store that has multiple categories, so it has multiple pages, one for each category, or would you rather have everything on the home page? If you have a video or multiple videos, we're going to want to find a home page that has a spot for videos. So just things like that. Make sure that you find the template that's going to fit your store's goals and your vision for it. The next thing you're going to do is add your products, and the things you're going to need to know before you add your products are going to be the name, the price, the category it falls under, the weight for any physical products, and the file for anything that can be downloaded. This also goes for the NFTs. If you create an NFT, then you're essentially going to need that file. Could be a JPEG, a PDF, a video file, etc. Now there's 3 ingredients of uploading a great product, which is going to be the product description, text, the images or the videos, and getting the categories right. So the first one is the product descriptions. The descriptions need to be convincing, but there's also several things to avoid, such as complex jargon or abbreviations, cliches, and long sentences or long paragraphs. A study done about 1.5 years ago on Amazon showed that the best-selling products across Amazon followed a similar pattern with their use of description, which was between 3 and 5 bullet points followed by 1 or 2 short paragraphs of text. So this is what I recommend people try to stick to. Nothing too lengthy, definitely some bullet points, because nobody's going to really have the patience to read through paragraphs and paragraphs of a text description. Rather, you can use some of the images that you take of your products to help tell that story. So how do you take the best product images? Well, over here on the left is an image of what's called a photography lightbox. This is a very common and inexpensive setup, which you can have to photograph your products for sale. The advantages are that you take pictures against a neutral white background without anything distracting, that the lighting is even and consistent between all the different products, and you'll position a camera, either your phone or a dedicated DSLR camera on a tripod, looking at this scene, so you can just swap in and out the products and take photos with a very consistent look. This is important because, using high quality images of consistent lighting and color are going to make a big difference in how people perceive your products online. So here's a few more tips when you take your photos. Always use high quality images. So anything that is blurry, out of focus, or too small and looks pixelated because you can see the individual pixels is not going to give you a good brand reputation online. So you don't want to use those. Then you want to make sure each image is the same size. So you can use a tool like Photoshop to resize your images. You can definitely take your own photos, especially if you have a photography lightbox set up like this. And by the way, you can purchase these online on Amazon for $30 or $40, so they're not an expensive investment. But you can definitely take your own photos. Some websites and e-commerce platforms offer a 360-degree view option. I know Amazon does, and most of the others do in certain circumstances. So if you see this as an option, I would follow the instructions to make use of it, so people can spin your objects around, look at them from different angles. Same with the zoom option. If you have a high enough resolution image, then most e-commerce sites allow people to zoom in on that, which is usually good because they can see the details of stitching or leather work or whatever your product happens to have. And the last thing is you want to make sure your images are not large in file size. Most images taken out of a smartphone nowadays will come in around 5 or 6 megabytes, which is really a gigantic size for a website. Really, you only need it to be about 200 kilobytes, which is like 1/20th the size. So in order to shrink down your images so they'll load faster online, you can just Google free online compression tool. There's many out there. They do the same thing. They will not really visually alter the image at all, but they'll shrink it down drastically in size. Here's some examples of really good product images to give you some ideas of things you can do. The first one is a dimension image. So this is kind of like a 3D breakdown of your product. It's showing its relative dimension versus common things. So, here's this cat holder for an Alexa on a wooden deck. So just to give people some sense of the scale, here they have a scale here at 9 inches. The middle image is a comparison chart. These are very popular, where you'll look at the main features of your product versus the competitors, and you'll point out the ways that your product is superior. And the last one is a 3D image or infograph. In this case, it's both. This is a 3D image of this water filter or water storage unit. And it also is an infograph with these 6 highlight features. So these are all good examples of product images that you can and should make use of if it fits what you're selling. Now, the next thing we're going to cover is how to launch your store and maximize your profits. First, we're going to talk about setting up your payment methods. Then we're going to preview, test, and publish your online store. And then we're going to talk about having a follow-up review 4 to 6 weeks later. So in order to receive funds when somebody buys your products online, you need to set up the payment method, also known as the payment gateway. There's a general charge for accepting credit card payments, which can be between 1% plus 10 cents per transaction to 3% plus 30 cents per transaction. This variation just comes into play between the ending and originating credit card networks, the locations, and a host of other factors. The 3 most popular ways to accept payments, the first one is going to be your merchant account and payment gateway. In this case, you will partner with a bank, which will process your credit card payments for you on your website, and then just channel that money into your business bank account. The second way is a payment gateway package, which is just a piece of software that is from a third party, and it'll connect your store's shopping cart to the credit card processing network. One example of this that some people might have heard of is WooCommerce, the most popular e-commerce plugin for WordPress websites. This is a payment gateway package. And third is the simplified credit card payment processing. This is a service that integrates your store's checkout like Shopify's payment gateway. So Shopify is such a big e-commerce platform that they built their own credit card processing gateway, essentially. And as we discussed before, if you use theirs, then you can actually pay 0% in the transaction fees. So depending on your unique setup, any one of these 3 could be the most cost-effective option for you. So it's just good to know about your different options to find the one that suits you the best. Your next step is going to be to preview, test, and publish your online store. Before launching, it's always a good idea to really test out every page of your store to make sure you're going to satisfy your customers' needs with its layout, design, and products, but also that if you find any bugs, you can fix them before a customer finds them. The first thing you should check is your checkout process. And the best way to do this is to place an order yourself, go ahead and go through the credit card processing, make sure any email notifications about new purchases that you've set up come through correctly. And then you can just refund yourself so there's no payment being made. Just test out the whole process. The next thing you want to test are all the buttons and links in your store that could go to products or could go to external sites. Make sure every button is going to the proper place, that it's not a broken link or have a typo in the link. And lastly, go through your content, look through all of the text, look at the images, make sure that none of them are pixelated, make sure that they're all of high quality, consistent look. It's very important for your online store and your e-commerce website that you have professional, good-looking photos up everywhere you can. And the last thing that I recommend is that you'll have a follow-up meeting with an advisor like myself or another business advisor at the SBDC to talk about your experience selling online and talk through some questions such as, Did you meet your sales goals for the first month? What feedback did you receive from your customers, either through email, through social media, etc.? What products sold the best and the worst? What new ideas do you have for products to sell online now? And what have you learned from your competitors in this time? And also, what are you going to try differently in month 2+? And by talking through some of these things, you'll be able to, really to start to developing your strategy, because selling online is a long-term play. There's no quick wins to riches in a month or two. It's a very competitive space. So this is something that you will learn through and iterate on and get better and better as the months and the years go by, and be able to maximize your profits. So that concludes the formal part of the presentation. I'd be happy to take your questions now in the Q&A box. You can type them in. We should have about 15 or 20 minutes for those. And if I can't get to anybody's questions, then feel free to reach out to me here, and we can have a one-on-one meeting and talk through those some more. And if you want to hang around, that's great. If you got to hop off now, then have a great day, and thank you for coming.
Great, thank you so much. So we do have some questions rolling in, so I'll just get started. The first one, does Facebook Shops allow for just services to be sold instead of products?
I don't think so. No, I think that all of these platforms that we talked about, the e-commerce platforms, are meant to sell products first and foremost. Service-based businesses, like I mentioned, sometimes they just stick with a level 1 website, which is an informational website about their business, contact info, things that they provide. Let's just say you're a hair salon, your prices, maybe some pictures of the staff. It's a very simple website. It doesn't have an e-commerce component, so to speak. So if that's your type of business, then an e-commerce platform won't really help you. The other thing, though, I'd recommend if you have a service-based business is to get listed on Google Maps. So if you have a physical location, getting on Google Maps is a hugely important way nowadays for people to find you. And you can get listed on Google Maps by going to business.google.com, and they'll walk you through the process of getting listed there.
Thank you. Where does Square fit in the e-commerce platforms, if it does?
Square started several years ago as a credit card payment processor. You can think of it kind of like PayPal. They're kind of like an online processor for these e-commerce sites. Within about a year or 2 years ago, Square enabled people to build websites on their platform. So now you can build your e-commerce website on Square. That wasn't the thing originally. And of course, if you build your e-commerce website on Square, you by default use Square's payment processing, because that's what they started off as. So it's kind of like an all-in-one place to fulfill your e-commerce needs, similar to Shopify. So that's a route some people go, though honestly, I've talked to more small businesses that have started using Square and building a website on Square that were frustrated with its limitations and lack of flexibility, and had to switch their website to a better platform with more options like WordPress, because they just couldn't make something or another happen, right? And it was driving them crazy. So I would be really cautious if you want to build a website on Square to maybe talk to me about it first, or look at your other options, because honestly, I wouldn't really recommend Square as a place to build a website, though it's a fine place to process your credit card transactions.
Cool, thank you. A question on NFT on Shopify. Would that be a good place to see ebook, audiobook, printable journals, and devotionals?
Perhaps. Normally when I think of ebooks, I think of you have an ebook and you want 1,000 people to buy it, right? So the whole point of an NFT is there's one unique thing, like a digital painting or digital artwork. There's only one of those in existence. So somebody buys that one, right? And then the NFT proves their ownership of that one. So if you're selling ebooks and you don't want to sell just one, but you want to sell thousands, then NFT is not the way to go. NFT is only if you have like one unique thing you want one person to buy and have the ownership of. They can sell it, but there's always that chain of ownership built into the NFT, the blockchain platform. So it's only really useful when they're one-off unique things.
I'm trying to unmute, sorry. Do you have any advice with setting up an online store directly using the e-commerce option available through GoDaddy.com?
Okay, yeah, GoDaddy.com, similar to Square, recently they've started letting people build websites on this GoDaddy platform. However, I've also heard a lot of bad reports of people running into a lot of problems, either building their first website on GoDaddy's e-commerce thing or having it built, but then it's just not working right. I think both GoDaddy and Square are low, in my opinion, of how useful they are for the majority of people on this call. I think that a much better option is WordPress, which is not much more complicated, but it's used by, it's the most widely used website building tool in the world. And it has so many more options for customization. It can grow with your business in so many more ways where GoDaddy and Square websites will not. And so a lot of people start with one of those and after a year have to spend a lot of time and money and headache to rebuild a website on usually WordPress. So I would be cautious about GoDaddy as well. And if you have any other questions, then we should probably have a one-on-one meeting and we can talk through your options there.
What are your thoughts on eBay?
So that's good that you brought up. I don't usually mention eBay in the list of these 5 main e-commerce platforms, but sometimes people do ask about it. eBay is an e-commerce platform, but it has kind of a unique focus. Obviously, its whole premise is bidding, you know. So yes, you can sell things for a buy it now price, in which case eBay turns into just like Amazon. And some businesses do use it to sell their products. Though eBay's main purpose and the main unique thing about it is the fact that you can bid on products and you can't do that on these other platforms. So if you would like people to bid on your products, then eBay's basically your only choice. So if you have, like, it makes a lot of sense if you're, let's just say, an antique dealer and you have 50 unique antique pieces, you don't really have a set price necessarily, because it's kind of like the value is up to whoever pays the most for it. So in that situation, eBay is the absolutely best place. But if you have, let's just say, 50 pairs of leather handmade shoes, you want to sell them for $100 each, eBay is not the most logical choice to do that. You know, either Shopify would be, or maybe Amazon would be, or Facebook shops. So hopefully that answers some of your question, but if you have any follow-up questions, let us know.
Great. What is the main payment gateway for WordPress sites?
So WordPress is a technology that I'm very involved in, obviously, because I keep talking about it. WordPress itself is like an operating system. It's like a platform. It doesn't have any native e-commerce or payment gateway built in at all. In fact, WordPress, its main advantage is it lets you pick from a host of options that have been developed by third parties. So to answer your question, though, the biggest and the best e-commerce and payment gateway is called WooCommerce, which is WOO Commerce. And I've worked with maybe 75 or 100 small businesses over the years who have built a WordPress website and set up WooCommerce to handle their shopping cart. And it's working great to this day. So WooCommerce is a great option if you want to build a WordPress website and you want to sell your products on it.
This is a little off topic, but can you recommend a good CRM? I know Salesforce is popular, but we don't need all the functionality in it. We need a very simple and affordable system. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great point. Salesforce is very robust, very expensive, and yeah, it's used by Fortune 1000 companies. So there's a lot of the stuff that it offers small businesses don't need. The best budget CRM that I found that's very flexible and competitive is called Zoho, Zoho. So you go to zoho.com and it's very inexpensive. It has all the features that you could want. It has just a ton of features. But yeah, it kind of competes with Salesforce, but it's really aimed at the small to mid-sized business sector. So I think that would be your best bet.
Awesome. What are alternative turnkey options for fulfillment services?
That's a great question. Obviously, Amazon is the one I mentioned here. I think it depends a little bit on the type of product you're warehousing and shipping, the size. Is it will it spoil? Does it need to be refrigerated? There's a lot of considerations. I'm not actually familiar with other major like nationwide fulfillment centers or even the East Coast fulfillment centers like Amazon. So I think you just need to do some research on that. But I do know that Amazon will fulfill practically anything out there. So they're basically the biggest player and one of the best players when it comes to the fulfillment side of the business.
Great, thanks. We have a couple of people actually asking what is Salesforce and what are CRMs for the people who aren't familiar with that term.
Yeah.
Could you explain that?
A customer relationship management system, CRM. It basically means, if let's just give an example. You're an ice cream parlor, right? So you have 50 people come in a day and buy your ice cream. Let's just say you took their names and their email addresses and what they bought every time they came in. Pretty soon you're going to have this whole database of names, emails, and all the things they purchased. Well, all of that information should go into a CRM system, which will track it. So then you can see who your biggest customers are, what your best-selling products are, and most importantly, their contact information. Because let's just say you have a sale on vanilla ice cream. You want to email everybody who's bought vanilla ice cream in the last month, tell them about it. The CRM will tell you exactly who those people are and give you their email addresses. So that's why CRMs are important. When you're doing an e-commerce platform, it's the same thing. It's automated. It'll track every purchase made by people and their repeat customers, their contact info, and just help you make good decisions. It's about using your data from your e-commerce business online, looking at your analytics, and a CRM system gathers your data and provides useful reports and insights into that, which you can use to really to increase your profit. And the other part, Salesforce is the largest CRM in the world. As I mentioned, they're a big company in their own right, but they're mainly used by other big companies, right? They're not really suitable for small to mid-sized businesses. For that, Zoho is one, but there's probably a dozen others like Zoho that might be even have features that are more relevant to you. So it'd be useful to look at a comparison if you're shopping around.
While we're on the topic of CRMs, is HubSpot CRM right size for a small to mid-sized business?
I think so. Yeah, HubSpot is a competitor to Zoho for sure, and they have many of the same features. So Zoho is the one I've used the most. I'm the most familiar with. But yeah, I think looking at both of those, certainly if you Google, the top 10 CRM systems, they're both going to come up in any list of top 10 because they're definitely two of the top 10. But there's many others out there as well. So it's a good thing to do a little bit of research on and kind of look at a comparison of the features and the price to determine what you like the most.
Great, thanks. Do you have suggestions for subscription-based websites?
Yeah. Like I said, usually when you look at the 4 different levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4, the subscription level websites fall into the advanced category. So if you're looking to build a website from scratch to support a subscription-based business, that's going to be kind of a big investment. There are also plugins that can add subscription functionality for much cheaper because that code is already written. So for example, if you build a WordPress website, you can find dozens of plugins which will give your website the ability to do subscriptions. So that would be one route. It would be WordPress and the WordPress plugins. Otherwise, if you want to write a website from scratch that can do subscriptions, it'll be probably $10,000 roughly. The WordPress option would be much cheaper. Yeah, and then other considerations would just be kind of what is the subscription that you're selling? What are the details of that? Could help you drill down and pick the right plugin to help that work.
Cool. Cameron, will you be available through email if they have questions in the future?
Yeah, I am. And yeah, I can take questions over email. And also if it's more convenient to have a phone call or a virtual meeting, then we can just set that up. So I'm happy to meet with anybody one-on-one to talk through these questions more.
And you can see Cameron's email right here on this last slide that's pulled up. cnelson@cvsbdc.org. You can also email, I put it in the chat here, help@virginiasbdc.org if you want to be matched up with a counselor to talk about other things other than digital matters, digital marketing and e-commerce. We have counselors to help you with other things too. So you can also email, that's kind of our main email as well. Let's see here. Observations on using Stripe as a payment processor.
So we talked about Square before. Square and Stripe are both payment processors. You know, they're pretty much neck and neck. They all have similar prices, similar features. They're similarly easy to use if you want to, you know, program one into your website to handle the e-commerce part. I don't really have a recommendation one over the other. It's usually just a toss-up. They're very, very similar. So
I'm gonna go down. I saw can you use GoDaddy and Shopify together?
Well, I guess it depends on how you intend to use them together, because I guess there's several ways to answer that question.
Okay.
Maybe if you just tell us what you mean by use them together, then I could help answer that.
Yeah. I have another one that's interesting. Let's see here. What is the average hourly rate for a part-time assistant to help manage our online presence and online store?
Well, it can vary a lot. If you're looking for someone who's like unskilled, who can just do data entry and you give them text and images and they post it on a website, then that's, you know, probably minimum wage type of position. University student would be a good option. University student in computer science or marketing. But if you're looking for someone to help you actually like write content and actually be much more proactive, you're looking at someone who's much higher experience level, you know, like a part-time marketing manager, something like that would probably start at $50 or $60 an hour.
Great, thanks.
And you can find, just to follow up on that, I think a good place to find, especially the talented people, will be a freelance website like Fiverr or Upwork.com. Personally, I like going to Upwork.com. A lot of online marketers list their services there, and you can see the prices of what they charge per hour and per job, and kind of get an idea of what that market looks like.
Great. Let's see here. Go back. I'm not sure this one. What website service do you recommend the most for level 1 or 2?
Yeah, for level 1 and level 2, well, level 1, like I said, there's some free places that give you a website like Wix, Squarespace, and Weebly. So if that's what you're looking for, a simple website that you can't customize too much, but you can have your own domain name, then go to one of those 3. A level 2 website is going to be best at WordPress, I think. Same with level 3. So 2 and 3, level 2 and level 3 websites. WordPress is your best bet. It's inexpensive. It has a ton of flexibility and options that can grow with your business.
Thanks. Rosalind says, great presentation. Any recommendations for inventory management software for reselling pre-owned goods? Is QuickBooks good for this?
That's a good question. I'm not really familiar with inventory management software in general and for selling pre-owned items, so I couldn't really give a recommendation. You know, we have a different advisor at the SBDC who specializes in QuickBooks, so they might be able to answer whether or not it can handle inventory like that, but I don't know.
Great, thanks. And you can reach out to our help@virginiasbdc.org if you want to learn more about the, you know, matching up with or talking to someone who has expertise on QuickBooks. Let's see. We have maybe, I don't know how we're kind of coming to the end, so I'm trying to see if we have any big ones here. Have you heard of Editor X?
I have not heard of Editor X. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard of it.
Okay. Suggestions for moving from WordPress non-e-commerce to a subscription-based website.
If your intention is to sell subscriptions on your website and you already have a WordPress website, it sounds like Sounds like that's your situation.
Possibly.
It sounds, if that's the case, then like I said, there's a lot of plugins available for WordPress websites that will enable subscriptions. The last time I looked, there were dozens that did just that. So I would go to log into your WordPress admin panel and go down to the left to plugins, click on that, click on search, and then search for subscription. There'll be many options. So if there's too many, I would look at the one that has the highest reviews, the highest number of reviews and the highest reviews. Read its description, see what it cost is like, and then you can just click the button to install that, and then it'll walk you through how to set it up. So typically those are the steps to go through to install a WordPress plugin. And I think that's probably what you'd want to start with if you want to enable subscriptions on an existing WordPress website.
Great, thank you. I think maybe one more question. What do you think or know of Linktree? I see a lot of artists use this.
I haven't heard of Linktree, actually.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think I've seen it like on Instagram. It seems like people will have a kind of a landing page off Instagram to share links that they have in there that they've posted in their feed, but you can't share links on Instagram. So it takes you to a page where you can kind of go to other places from there.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
All right, I think that's it. I think we'll wrap up today. We thank you for all of your questions. They're really great. As I mentioned before, you'll all receive an email with a link to the recording and to the slides. If you'd like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. Today's boot camp was presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. Be sure to check out our next digital boot camp, Grow Your Business with Digital Marketing, on April 20th. This webinar and other SBDC resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. Thank you so much for attending today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Cameron.
Bye-bye.
Bye.